Hi, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you how to draw Harry Potter's portrait. It's one of the most requested drawings on my channel and I tried my best to keep it as simple as possible so that even the absolute beginners can recreate this drawing easily if they want to. So grab your tools and let's get started. So these are the art supplies I'm going to use for this drawing and you can pause the video right here to note them down. I'm already done with the outline and you can find all the references including this outline drawing reference on my Patreon profile. You can find all the links in the description down below. So starting from the hair, and first of all I'm gonna darken the outlines and give the direction to these hair segments on the left. And then I'm gonna use the indenting stylus to indent fine lines for the shine on the hair. Now use your B pencil and fill the area with the base layer first. But make sure the lead on the pencil doesn't have a sharp tip or it will fill the indentation lines. Now use your 3B pencil and darken these shadowed portions between these segments and clusters. We need to keep the shades light and blurry because this specific area of the hair is out of focus in the reference image. And by the way, the real-time tutorial of this drawing is available on my Patreon profile. So if you want to see these details up close and in real time, you can visit my Patreon profile. Link is in the description. When you are shading over the indentation lines, make sure you keep the angle between your pencil and paper minimum so you don't accidentally fill the indentation lines. You can vary the pressure on your pencil to get your desired darkness of shades as well. Then use your dry brush and lightly blend the shades. And then use your 5B or 9B pencil to further darken the hair and shades where required. Now use your kneaded eraser for the lighter highlights and mono zero eraser for sharp white highlights on the hair. And in the end, you can use your sharp tip 5B pencil to add these individual black lines for the hair which are in focus. I'm also gonna repeat the exact same process for the remaining hair. The only difference is in the right side where you need to add these sharp white highlights. I tried adding them using an electric razor but it was still not sharp enough. So I added those highlights using jelly roll pen. And I also added some sharp white lines and highlights in the middle portion. I was trying my best to avoid using jelly roll pen because the white pigment gets messed up when you use the fixative spray to preserve the drawing in the end. But I had to use it for some of these portions where it was necessary. Okay, now moving on to the forehead portion, and first of all I'm going to darken the outlines of these individual hair and eyebrows on the forehead so they don't fade away in the blending process. Now fill the forehead with a base layer using a B pencil and then blend it thoroughly using a dry brush or tissue paper. Okay, now use your 3B pencil and add these shadows for the individual hair on the forehead and blend them lightly using a small dry brush. Then you can use the 5B pencil along with indenting stylus and mono zero eraser to add these individual hair on the forehead. All you have to do is darken the outlines using a darker grade pencil like 5B and then add the shadows below them using 3B pencil and also lightly blend them using a small dry brush. And then you can use your mono zero eraser to add the shines and highlights over the hair, just like this. Okay, now I'm going to darken the outline of the glasses roughly and extend the base shade as well so we can work on the eyebrows. Now use your 3B pencil and darken these shadowed portions above the eyelids and also make sure to blend them thoroughly using a small dry brush. Now I'm going to use this mechanical pencil and add these thin hairs for the eyebrows. I'm only using the mechanical pencil here because you don't need to sharpen the tip again and again. It's not necessary. You can use a normal wooden B or 3B pencil for this purpose. But remember to keep the tip sharp at all times so you don't add extra thick hairs. Now use a sharp tip 8B pencil and darken some of these hairs to give the eyebrows some contrast. And then use a chisel tip mono zero eraser to add these highlights or shines on the eyebrows. I'm gonna repeat the exact same process for the second eyebrow as well. Okay, now for the glasses, you just need to darken the frame using an 8B or 9B pencil first. And then use a chisel tip or sharp tip mono zero eraser to add the shine or highlight on the edges. You can also use your jelly roll pen for this purpose. Okay, now the eyes in this specific drawing are fairly simple. You just need to fill the area inside the frame with a base layer first using a B pencil and make sure you darken the outlines as well so they don't fade away. And then use a 3B pencil to darken the outline of the eyelids and iris, and also fill the pupil with 5B or 9B pencil. And then use your Polychromos 168 or 370 if you are using Faber-Castell Classic, and lightly fill the iris with a base layer. Now use your Polychromos 156 or 354 for Classic and fill the outer portion of the iris. You can also add these faded lines starting from the outer portion and fading in the middle. It will give the eye a realistic looking texture. Then use your 3B pencil and lightly shade over the colored area to add contrast, and also darken the area along the outer side of the iris to give it some depth. You can also use your mono zero eraser around the pupil to add some highlights, and then use your cherry roll pen to add these circular highlights or reflections on the eyeball. Okay, now fill the white portion of the eye or sclera with a base layer, and then darken the corner portions using the same B pencil, just like this, and blend this layer using a dry brush later on. You can also add some highlights or make the shade a little bit lighter using a kneaded eraser. Now use your 3B pencil and darken these shadowed portions below the eye, and then blend these shades using a dry brush. You can further darken the shades as desired and also add eyelashes using the same 3B pencil, but keep the tip sharp to add these thin lines. You can also use your sharp tip or chisel tip mono zero eraser to add these highlights or white lines in between the eyelashes and also around the eyelid where required. You can also use cherry roll pen for sharp white highlights. I'm gonna repeat the exact same process for the second eye. And by the way, if you are a beginner and have no idea how to even start a drawing on your own, I would suggest you to take my drawing course first, because it is specially designed to help beginners like you to get comfortable with the drawing process, so they can execute a drawing project of any difficulty level on their own. I put my course on sale for up to 90% off for 5 days of every month. You can check the link in the description to see if the sale is going on right now and get enrolled as soon as possible. Okay, now moving on to the nose portion, and this time I tried shading the shadowed and dark portions first using a 3B pencil, and then I added the base layer on top of it, and honestly it turned out pretty good. By the way, I only did this for experimental purposes, so you don't need to follow these exact steps. You can just follow the typical layering process and you will get your desired results. Also, don't forget to blend each layer of shade. Now use your 5B pencil and add this shadow below the nose and blend it using a small dry brush. Then use your 9B pencil and further darken the nostrils and shadow around it. And then use your kneaded eraser to add these highlights inside the shadowed area, just like this. You can use your 3B pencil to further darken the shades on the nose if required. And then use a kneaded eraser or mono zero eraser to add these highlights on the nose. And also shade this middle piece of the frame using a 3B and add the required highlights using a sharp tip eraser. Now for the remaining portion of the face, just fill it with a base layer using a B pencil first, and then use your 3B pencil to darken these shadowed areas near the jawline and chin. And also fill the upper lip with plain dark shade like this. And blend all these shades using a dry brush and then with tissue paper. Then use your kneaded eraser to pick up the extra shades from the highlighted portions, just like this. And then use your 9B pencil to darken this middle line of the lip and lightly darken this shadow below the lower lip as well. Then you can use your B pencil along with mono zero eraser and add this lip texture and shines on the lower lip. You can also use a cherry roll pen to make the texture and then lightly blend it afterwards to get your desired effect. It's totally up to you. For these remaining hairs, I'm gonna repeat the exact same process as I did for the upper hair. Just fill the base layer and then darken the portions in between to get your desired shape and effect. Now for the neck portion, I'm gonna fill it with a base layer first, and then I'm gonna use 5B pencil here for the shadowed portions because they are much darker than the other portions. Make sure to blend the layers and then use an eraser to erase the shade from this right side of the neck to add the highlights. I'm using the Deli Scribe eraser, but it's totally optional. You can use any ordinary eraser or kneaded eraser for this purpose. Now moving on to the hoodie, and first of all, as always, fill it with a base layer, but I'm gonna use 3B for base because the overall shade is much darker. and then I'm gonna blend it using a dry brush. Make sure you darken the outlines first so they don't fade away. Okay, now use your 5B pencil for the second dark layer and fill the shadowed portions in the upper part of the hoodie, and then use your 9B for the lower part, and then blend all these layers using a dry brush. Now use your mono zero eraser or any other eraser with sharp tip and fill this portion of the hoodie with these parallel lines to make this plate texture or check pattern. Then use a 3B pencil to soften the ending portions of these lines to make them look more realistic. I'm gonna use graphite powder with my mini brush for this purpose. It just speeds up the process. Now you can use the mono zero eraser or any sharp tip eraser for the remaining highlights on the hoodie, and you can also use 8B or 9B pencil in between for the required contrast. Now I'm gonna repeat the exact same process for the remaining portion of the clothing. Just add and blend these light and dark layers, and then use kneaded eraser or sharp tip eraser for the highlights in between. And with this last step, we are done with this realistic Harry Potter drawing. Please leave a like if you enjoyed and learned something new from this tutorial. It takes so much time and effort to make these drawing tutorials, and I would really appreciate if you share this with your friends or join my Patreon community to show your support. If you wanna get the real-time video of this drawing, you can visit my Patreon profile. And if you are a beginner and want to learn the basics of sketching, you can join my course on Udemy. All the links are in the description down below. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.